The executive summary and pitch deck literally goes hand in hand. You understand?
Right.
All the information within the pitch deck is and your business plan is literally summarized into your executive summary. What Mr. T said it best: simplicity is key. Keeping things simple and straightforward to the point, and then when they find interest, then they ask for the bigger things like your business plan. The whole thing is to gain the interest of the persons looking at your project. I was tasked to cover executive summary and market research. Just like any other subject, we may know about everything that we talked about today, from SWOT, business pitch decks, the financials, the military. They put you in trainings a lot, quarterly trainings, yearly trainings. It's good to just be reminded of certain things because you may find out something new. Okay, so what is an executive summary? Executive summary is basically your business's elevator pitch on paper, like a concise document or a section of a larger document that identifies key points, objectives, a proposal, and a little bit of research. The purpose is to provide decision makers, right, with a quick overview, enabling to them to understand your project and its most critical aspects without reading the entire thing. What goes into an executive summary? I broke it down into 8 sections. Some people teach different, so I don't go by what I think. I'm going by what they look for. The first subject is a clear summary of the company. What is the purpose of your company? Give a clear introduction of what your company is there to do. Number two, you would need a brief description of your product or service. Here, you want to note the uniqueness of that product or service. What makes your product or service different from other products and services in your space? Number three, you have brief descriptions of the market and the marketing strategy. Who are you targeting? And what will be a strategy to use to obtain the attention of this audience? Number four, a brief description of your team. Who's on your team? The management team. This is kind of like one of the main portions of what they look at. The reason being, Mr. T hit it on the head, is if everybody on your team is not contributing to the portion of that company to help it be that company, then is a relevant team. It's not fruitful enough. So let's say you're in the medical field. If you don't have a doctor on your team, then why are you in the medical space? Why are you trying to run a hospital? You don't even have a doctor on your team. You know, you don't even have anybody who knows about technology or the equipment, right? So that is very important. So your management team and their experiences, all the portions of your management team has to line up to your business's purpose. Your financial projections for the next 3 to 5 years. What do you expect your company to be within the next 3 to 5 years? From the starting point and how the growth will take. So you'll say, hey, look, revenue is projected to grow from X amount in the first year. By year 5, with the EBITDA, the margin by year 3. You'll have the percentage EBITDA margin by year 3. Gross margins are expected to remain strong, supported by X, Y, and Z drivers or whatever reason. So you'll have that in your financial highlights. From there, the next subject will be to the needs of your funding. What do you need immediately? This section is very important because it gives you an overview of what they need to reach in their pockets to grab for you if they decide to invest in your company. Because a lot of people, when it comes to the funding requirements, undergauge that amount that they really need. If people say, "Hey, look, I need $500,000," you probably need 1.5 million. I'm just being honest with you. The next subject, which would be the seventh subject, will be the debt or equity position. But this is just a section you need to cover. Would it be debt, loans, lines of credit, or would you be willing to give up equity in your company? A lot of people go more so, I can't. It's not really a percentage on which is whichever is comfortable for you and what your company is willing to do. I don't mind equity because equity is something that a lot of investors would like to do. It's kind of like Shark Tank. You have to have skin in the game. When it comes to equity, usually you have to have something in progress. It's a very rarity. I don't think I ever heard of it unless somebody can prove me wrong. That somebody just come with an idea and they say, "Oh, it's a great idea. Here's $10 million." Here's $2 million. And yeah, they have to see some sort of progress. Did you acquire the building? Do you have land? Do you have trucks? Any kind of collateral? Like, what the skin in the game? What are you putting forth besides knowledge on a piece of paper? What are you doing yourself to make your business run or get off the ground, per se? And then, of course, the last strategy is the exit strategy. You got to have an exit strategy, whether you're selling, whether you're paying the loan back off or the line of credit or whatever. For an example, for this, like if you're trying to go public, whatever your exit strategy may be. For example, I'm going to read this example. It says, our strategy includes potential acquisition by specific companies or whatever you put, IPO, whatever, with an anticipated exit valuation of X billion dollars, X million dollars within X amount of years. Okay, so you're going to let these guys know that within a certain amount of time, you want to acquire that a particular position with an anticipated valuation of that business of a certain amount within a certain time period. Also, within the closing statement, um, you're going to let them know why they should invest in. Well, by investing in this company, by investing in my company, you'll join a venture with a unique product, unique service, a high growth, high potential. Leadership is on point. If you have people with 40, 50 years combination experience, you can use that as one of your closing statements. The experience that's on your team, the amount of money that you're projected to make. You're like he said, the highlighted points of your document. We already know what market research is. You're researching the market. The purpose of it is to identify the needs and the trends of what's going on within your competitive space. It reduces your risk because launching a new product or entering into a new market, it often involves uncertainty, right? So unless you're familiar with the market and it continuously change, so market research minimalizes that risk and it provides data on customer demand, the competition, the barriers, and it helps you make more informed decisions. It helps you understand the competitive landscape in general. It helps you uh, develop planning, pricing. Um, what else? It measures the marketing effectiveness. So it evaluates like the performance of the marketing campaigns, determines what resonates with your target audience and what doesn't. So market research, it has it's a lot. That's another subject within itself. Maybe that's why I couldn't talk forever on. I could talk forever on executive summary, and I could talk forever on market research. I could talk forever on SWOT. I could talk forever on pitch decks. I can talk forever, and it's like you have to sum this stuff up. So you can't really. So basically, market research, it sums up and makes it easier for you to navigate you know your business better. It keeps you on point on what's changes. It keeps you on point on what works and what doesn't work, because marketing through one and one aspect may work, but then it changes. Then you have to add money, you have to take away money, you have to add words, whatever. It's just forever changing. So just keeping in contact with that is always good. So that pretty much um, sums it up, because in short, market research is the backbone of data driven decisions. Okay. And how businesses understand their audience, outmaneuver competitors, um, and then maintain the relevance of that market. So did it make sense a little bit?
It
It,
makes
it, ma-
sense.
it made
Okay.
sense. It's just really hard to consolidate the vastness of what we're doing here.
Right.
So it's almost
Yes.
difficult. I think it's
Yeah.
great that maybe we look to put some of those cliff notes or break them down and actually share them in the group so that others can refer to it in the
Okay.
future.
That's right. I wrote down
100%.
most.
Well, as
Okay.
as a lesson learned, maybe do a couple of speakers or a couple of subjects next time around, or provide longer time. I mean, I fortunately have a little bit of time this morning, so that's good. Because like you were talking about market research. You said you could speak for an hour. I mean, shoot, you could do market research. That could be an all-day class. Anybody that's sat
Absolutely.
down and done it understands that market research can be an all day class. I mean, for example, like with my two product lines, I started this process, I believe it was March. And all the way into literally last night, I'm still doing certain pieces of that market research. Yes. Because one thing we didn't cover is like TAM, SAM, SOM, which are key elements to your market research. So you understand where, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, even with the SWOT analysis, we were talking about the team. I love that the team came up so much, and we can have this open forum conversation. So, like you were saying, hey, if you don't have a doctor, you probably shouldn't be running a medical facility, right? So, I'm entering into a software as a service. I'm not a tech guy. My 20 plus years in the military was infantry, man. I can shoot, move, I can communicate, I can lead soldiers, but I know nothing about tech. So my very first my very first goal, whenever the idea hit me, literally was to find a qualified CTO. I needed a CTO because I needed somebody that knew the technology that I didn't. Now, in that move, I also thought, hey, I don't want to just hire somebody. I could have paid, which this is still costing money, I could have paid an organization to build the product, but after the product's built, I wouldn't know if there was problems with said product because I'm not a tech guy. So what I did is I brought on my CTO purposely and gave him equity out the gate. Yes, he's being paid to build, but I gave him equity because now he's truly vested in the success of the company. So sometimes you build your team around what your personal SWOT analysis would be. Sorry, my son. Gabe, what do you need, bud? I knew I had a deficiency in technology. So what I did is a personal analysis and said, hey, this is what you lack. You need to bring people on board and build the proper team to make this product a viable product. And I don't care what you do. My father had a construction company for 50 years. I've had a construction company. I can dang near build a house from the ground up. I'm not a plumber. So I'm going to hire that guy. I'm going to bring a plumber on board.
Right.
That's my personal, so understanding your limitations is just as important as your team. Let me get my kiddo a snack. What do you need, buddy?
Yeah, also
Hey,
that is also
sorry, Ron. I don't mean to cut Ron. Ron, you could go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it, Ron.
I also believe that is very important, presenting this to funding, because if you're not an expert in something, you have somebody in your team and your C-suite that is, it makes it really makes it more attractive to an investor or a lender, because they know that you may not know everything, but you have people on the team that are qualified who can actually perform what you are trying to perform the task that is at hand. So I think, when you have a good C-suite, it makes a difference to an investor when he sees that you may not have personal experience in that particular area, in the technology area. You have somebody on the team that experience that you may be lacking. So I think that's really.
Yeah, I was going to add to that too. Thanks for that, Ron. Is that my evolution? I've been self-employed now for at least 30 years. But my evolution for being self-employed has put me in a place where, even though I've done a lot of stuff, I prefer to not be the smartest man in the room, ultimately, because skill sets, we could keep learning and learning skill sets, but we'll never have enough time to be proficient at them. And so I would always prefer to hire the proficient. And so as a, compliments to the reference Marcus made about not being a plumber. Yeah, other than the fact that I don't like dealing with crap, I would prefer to hire a specialist to take care of that task. You know what I mean? So it's always advantageous to show that we know our limitations, and an investor probably would respect that more than trying to be a know-it-all.
Right. And on top of that, to piggyback, delegation is just part of being an entrepreneur, a business owner. It saves time. It saves effort. It saves ultimately time. And that's what we need. We need to be able to delegate um, what we're not good at to somebody else who is good at that. We can obviously learn it, but we probably won't learn it as proficient as how we need to learn it because of all these other tasks that we have to manage and juggle.
Yep.
So,
Well, and in my opinion, delegation is key, but it's also part of the recipe. What are the key ingredients in the recipe of scale?
mm, yeah, absolutely.
Because
Go ahead.
you're only one person, you can only do so much. One thing I truly believe as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a CEO is, yes, I agree 100%. You can delegate tasks, you cannot delegate responsibility. So I get agitated when I hear friends that are also business owners complaining about an employee. Well, this guy doesn't work, or this person doesn't do this, or this person doesn't do that. Well, that's your fault as the owner.
Replace them.
It's not because they don't work, it's because you hired them.
Yeah, absolutely. Replace them. I'm not dealing with no, and that's the first thing I'll tell them. As soon as they start complaining about what this person don't do, I can tell your mind frame. No, you're trying to hold on to that individual. Now I think that's your cousin or your brother-in-law. Now I feel like you're related to him because you don't want to let him go. You just feel like complaining about him. A real CEO was like, man, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. Hey, I have to let you go, bud. It's
Well,
too
I
much.
mean, I think there's steps of progress, but it's also about accountability because it's your company, it's your baby. You can look at somebody. I can look at my CMO and I can go, look, we need to bring our marketing expenses down, and they can go, yep, I agree. But if they're not bringing the marketing expenses down, is that their fault or my fault for not taking the responsibility? I gave them the task, but it's my responsibility to make it happen. Meaning which I need to follow up. I need to make sure they're doing their piece. And that's part of that accountability. Everything that happens, good or negative, within your company, personal opinion, it falls upon that leader of the company.
Absolutely.
If your customer support team sucks at doing customer support, that's your fault, not the customer support manager.
Yeah. Two, you also, if you have somebody specialized in a specific area that you need, that person also has the foresight to know what can happen, what can't, and what it can cost, as well as preventive measures that you need to take to prevent something happening that you may not foresee, but somebody who's that expert can. Because I think that can also save you money on your bottom line. It can also keep your projections accurate or consistent, and it's also helped you to. It actually, in essence, can save you a lot of money. You can project a problem before and address it before it happens. It will save you a lot. So that expert experience will be very
well, and I think understanding pricing strategies, things like that. Yeah, we can definitely expand a lot on this. But team is huge to me. I mean, building a team, having the right people in the right places with the right attitude, I think is a key element to successful company. And understanding that as an owner, you can't always have your hands in every single pot. You have the responsibility, but you can't do it all. I mean, you can, but you're gonna flatline somewhere. Good example again. My father, great man, had a nice construction company, lived well. He believed he had to be on every job in order for that job to be successful. He was one of the most recommended contractors in his area because of the quality of his work, and he took a lot of pride in that. But because he was unwilling to hire managers and enforce a quality standard, his company peaked, and that was all there was. He didn't expand. He didn't go further. He wasn't able to scale the business. Not that he was over interested in doing so. He was a single entrepreneur. He was happy with where he was at. He was happy with the money he was making. He wasn't trying to be, a multimillionaire down the road or anything like that. But understanding that if you want to scale your business, that you have to have the right team in place. And I think giving that team some autonomy to make decisions as well. Again, it still falls on you as the owner, but you also have to give your team the ability to do their job.
Yep, it's the team and it's the SOPs, the standard operating procedures or systems. They call it systems of orders and processes. So people call them different things, and that what McDonald's is McDonald's for. That's how McDonald's can have 150,000 locations, and the CEO is chilling on the beach somewhere, right? So it's the same concept. If we document all of our processes as we going through them, it makes it a lot easier down the road. So
I agree.
Let me give you a nugget. Give you a nugget. It was given to me. I'm not the originator of it. The first person you should hire is your replacement. You get somebody who's better than you, and you hire that person. You pay them, and then what you do is now they need to hire their replacement. And so here that gives them a level of responsibility, and also you reward productivity. But I just don't throw that out for y'all.
I like
that
that.
makes sense. I like it.
I like
Well,
that.
and
That's really good.
I'll piggyback real quick off that. And the reason is I didn't say this in my intro. I've been a business broker for a while. So I evaluate businesses for purchase, right? So I'm dealing with the person with the business and we're doing the valuation to get them to sell. And one thing that I have found to be very common in smaller businesses and something anybody in this group really needs to pay attention to. If you got sick and you had to take a month off of work or 3 months off of work, would your business still operate? Because if the answer to that, if you can't go on a 2-week vacation and your business operate, you're not running a business, you're running a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, guys, I have to suggest that the captain take over because I think we would be closing our time here shortly. So, Stephen,
Yep. Sorry about that. I was just there's no other questions, no other members besides the speakers have
I-
questions.
I don't have questions. I just love the pontification that's going on here. So I appreciate
so
the
good.
sharing of knowledge. Yes.
Hey, Stephen, is there a way? I know this is being recorded. Is there a way to get a copy of this recording?
Yes. So talk about that. After this is finished recording, and we end the call, I will upload this Zoom to the business group, so anyone in the group that wasn't on it can watch it, and that way all of you have a copy as well, and you can rewatch it.
Yay.
I want to check with the group because I'm probably going to chop this up a little bit and throw some on social media. Is everybody okay with that? Because that
Yeah,
means you're going to be
absolutely.
on.
I record every single last business call that I'm on myself. I record every single last one of them, and I save it for future purposes and chopped up and editing purposes as well. So, yeah,
I'm okay.
Stuff.
I love it. I love it. It's just educating, man. I love hearing from other people. I love learning from others. One thing for sure, we iron sharpens iron. We have to keep that in mind. So we're constantly have to continue to sharpen each other. Nobody knows everything.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, feel free to reach out to each other. If anyone wants to, like, there's brokers or any of you guys want to reach out to other members, feel free to connect with other people in here. I think a lot of the entrepreneurs have learned a lot from the 4 speakers. I know I have.
I
So
have too.
And I thank you all so much for the chat and for giving us all your expertise.
And are we going to be doing this again? And what is the proposed schedule?
Yep. So once a month, there's going to be a workshop. Still got to work out what the next one's going to be next month. But it'll be towards the end of the month, but before Christmas.
I'm just mentioning
Yep.
a request. I love the subject of teams because it's intricate and it's got so many levels. So I'm just putting it out there just for maybe an elaborative subject. That's my
And maybe yeah. I like it.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
That would be a good subject, actually. Teams.
Yes.
But yeah, we're still working out what the next one's going to be. I know that I'm thinking of doing a workshop where I can have a broker and an investor and maybe a business owner share their experiences and stuff with everyone, because you always want to. There's always people on there that want to learn. So,
I got
and
some
if
more
anyone else
stories.
has any, if anyone on here has any workshop ideas that you want us to do, feel free to send us a message, and we'll take it on board.
Well, I got to jump
Okay.
off here. I've got a doctor's appointment in about 30 minutes. So
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
That's all right.
It's
Well,
lovely
thank you
meeting
all
Marcus.
for
Been
joining,
great. Hope it
and I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you next month for our next one.